make small changes and additions and growth every single episode, every single week. Just get 1% better, right? And whatever that means for you and for your goals. At some point, there's going to be an investment, right? You're going to need to think through those solutions, and some of them might be thinking outside the box, and some of them might be investing or growing, financially to be able to have the right gear and the right space and the right places and people.
What do you think that who is Video First best suited for, you feel?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And maybe this is, I'm biased. I work for a company that makes a live streaming and video production tool. Yeah. So that out there, but I really think everyone, I really think that, again, as we said earlier, the landscape is changing. It's changing really quickly, and you have more and more people who want to be able to see you, and they want to be able to engage with you, whether that's showing up for a live stream or seeing what you look like or seeing what your space looks like or, seeing what your guests look like. The connection that you have in being able to see someone is really different than the connection that you have in putting someone in your ears and listening to a podcast. And you may have people who will only stay on the audio side, but there are a lot of people who are going to go between the two, and there are a lot of people who prefer video, and it's getting much easier these days for them to even switch between the two. So, you have people who might start off going on a walk, and they're listening to your podcast on, Spotify, and then they get into their office or they're starting their day and they switch over and are watching it on YouTube, and then they, want to go back and run an errand or something, and they're finishing it on, on YouTube, but they're not looking at the video, for example. So I would just say that if you want to reach a wider audience, adding in video is just an easy way to do that. And I think the opportunities are going to continue to grow as we move forward with it.
If I were to add a caveat to that answer to you, like who it's best suited for, if I were to be thinking about the lay everyday podcaster, one of the key things that I think would stop me from doing video, and I've experienced this, I have great experience with this actually, is the fact that so I used to live for a long time, for about almost 3.5, 4 years, in an area where I could not get appropriate internet. And if I would have had a video podcast to produce on a weekly basis, I probably would not have been able, I would have given up. If the video component of it was the heaviest lift, because there were times with my people who, were my co-hosts, that I had to get on the phone. Like I had to get on the regular cellular phone, and we would have to do a double ender, and it was it was horrible because there's latency with the phone as well, right? So even then we were talking over each other, and for one of the editors that I worked with in one of my shows, it was really rough for me as well to be able to manage that. So I'm happy if you have the infrastructure around you where internet speeds for you are a little bit iffy, I would maybe focus a little bit more on just the audio component, because even when people asked me to be guests on shows, I literally had to be like, I'm cool, but I can't use video. So I'm happy to record. And I would record every single episode I went on my end, because I knew I was going to drop out. Like I just knew I was going to disappear. So in that respect, it was a challenge for me. And it also, I think, video files are bigger as a whole. So being able to send those files off to editors, being able to receive, that was another thing when I was editing my other show, receiving just the audio file, an uncompressed WAV file from my co-host. I had to go into town to get to download the file so that I would start to be able to edit it. So I think sometimes that might be a little restrictive. So I would check your speeds when it comes to some of that. Yeah,
I'd agree with all of that. I mean, I think as a creator, as someone that is working on a show, you're doing it because you have a passion, a mission. There's a reason why you've created your show, and so there's going to be steps along the way of growth, right? So I'm a big believer that you should just get started. If you have an idea and it's something you want to do, start. If it's starting that you need to just do it on your phone, audio only, power to you, get up and running, make make small changes and additions and growth every single episode, every single week. Just get 1% better, right? And whatever that means for you and for your goals. But I would say, you know, at some point, any of this, whether it's video or even if you're staying in the audio only space, there's going to be an investment, right? So you're going to hit a point where you're going to need to figure out, okay, my internet is a barrier and is a challenge and is stopping me from being able to, you know, get better guests or, you know, control the quality or do what I want to do. You're going to need to think through those solutions. And some of them might be thinking outside the box, and some of them might be investing or growing, you know, financially to be able to have the right gear in the right space and the right places and people. But yeah, I totally agree. The internet is always a challenge. It's a challenge for, you know, across the board. But there are solutions out there. And I think, you know, again, more and more as this becomes more of kind of a global phenomenon and more people are entering the podcasting space, both in video and audio, there are more resources available to all of us. I was amazed to find that even a lot of local libraries in larger cities now have podcasting booths that you can rent out and be able to leverage not only a quiet space, but in many cases, tools and gear as well. So there are more and more solutions available to all of us that are kind of breaking through some of those barriers and stopping those, you know, oh my goshes and turning them into opportunities as we move forward. So yeah, lots to think outside the box as far as it goes. And I would say certainly it's going to be an individual decision for everyone, but don't let some of the limitations get in the way of doing what you want to do.
Yeah.